Hey, new recorded podcast. No, it's not a podcast. It's a recorded conversation. I don't know why I keep saying podcast. I don't want to say podcast because I don't like that word because everybody's got a podcast, but I don't. I have conversations that I have with people that I record. This time I did it over Skype and I recorded it with QuickTime, the movie recorder or the screen capture, whatever it was. Anyways, it's a piece of crap. It dropped out a bunch and the volume was fluctuating. I tried my best to tweak it as much as I could, but it still sounds like garbage. In my opinion, you might like it, but there's a lot of information. Hold on, let me do this properly. Let me just calm down and... Okay, so now that we've gotten all the technical... the thing at the beginning says the caution thing. Man, I can't talk anymore. The thing before something starts and it shows a warning or something. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
Welcome back. The second intermission is presented by
The hockey game's on. So over Skype, I touched base with my friend Kalli Youngstrom, who is an international fitness and nutrition coach and IFBB Figure Pro professional. We did a bunch of like photo or fitness photography back when I lived in Saskatchewan. Yeah, when I started doing these conversations, she was one I wanted to record one with because just even to pick her brain about nutrition and low fat low carb diets and things of that nature. And she's the smartest person I know in that field. So here is an hour and a half, hour 50, with some audio dropouts of us talking about fitness and nutrition and lifestyle, whatever. I think we talked about other things. I don't know, I can't remember it.
Hello.
Hey,
How's it going?
it's good. Yourself?
Good. You don't have to do video, just voice.
Yeah, my place is a mess.
Oh, good. That's why I can look like a homeless person.
Yeah, I kind of look the same. I just got in from the gym, so.
Oh, are you doing like powerlifting stuff, or what are you doing?
I don't know. Just whatever I feel like. It's like I haven't really... There was a bit where I just lost all motivation to go because I was being so strict with things. So now I'm just like, I'm just going to do whatever. And
just enjoy it.
Just play around.
That's good.
And ride my bike everywhere because that's what you do here in Vancouver.
That's good. That's how you get your cardio on.
Yeah. So how's things? How's it been?
Good. Pretty good. Just busy. Not competing this year, so just work, which is nice break.
Mm-hmm.
But more time for clients, so I mean, equally as busy.
Yeah.
What about you? What are you doing, like film right now?
Just a lot of CBC gigs. It's enough where it's like I'm not forced to look for other kinds of work, so it's good. It's a good stress reliever of like always having consistent sort of gigs lined up.
Yeah, just study. That's a good feeling.
Yeah, man.
So what are you doing with these recorded conversations? Just a like passion project, or?
The idea, I can't remember where the idea came up. I think I was out with a friend and we were talking and I was just like, we should be recording this. Because I always had I listened to a lot of podcasts and everyone's kind of got a podcast, so I was like, I'm not doing that because I don't want be one of many people who are doing it. So I branded it as Recorded Conversations and used it as an excuse to like just be able to talk to people, and not really. Yeah, I don't really have any plans or goals for it. It's just kind of like just force myself to get a hold of one person a week and just have a conversation with them. Because in that way, it's like there's get to hang out with people that you wouldn't necessarily hang out with, and then the catalyst being is like, well, we're gonna record this, and so that's the purpose of the meeting and talking, I guess.
That's neat. Well, and you have like so many. I've just listened to a couple, and there's such different people. So that's cool because I feel like most like recorded conversations or podcasts have such a theme within the people that they're interviewing that this is a lot more unique.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's kind of like how Joe Rogan does it, where it's just all over the place, and it's more very, and that way it's like almost self-serving, where it's like you're just wanting to chat with people who you are interested in. And I mean, that's kind of why I got a hold of you too, because I follow you on Instagram and all that, and you do your stories. So I saw what you ate just before I called.
I was like getting it in, so I was done by 1.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sweet.
So you're doing like, are you full keto now?
Yeah, I have been for a while. Like, it's just kind of what I always revert back to. So, I mean, the last like week or so, I was kind of being an asshole and like having some Quest bars and stuff. But yeah, basically, like I say, like paleo based keto. So I try not to do any processed stuff.
Right.
But what about you? Are you on the keto train stuff?
I never really went full. I think it's been more like carb cycling, where it's like at night I'll have a little bit, but during the day, just trying to be super strict. But sometimes, because when I'm working at CBC, when we're downtown, and you don't know when you're getting a lunch break, and I'll bring like the Ziploc bag of almonds to munch on and to tide me over. So like during the day, like I don't I don't eat very much, so I kind of like I'll eat a bigger meal at the end of the day, I guess. But anyways, while I do go out for lunch and stuff, when I'm working downtown, it's hard to find something that's fully like trying to find something that's low carb, right? So there was this barbecue place, and they have this smoked chili, which is just like, it's a lot of pulled pork and meat and stuff. And then I realized how much carbs are in the beans that they put in. So it's like, oh crap, now I can't. I shouldn't be eating that chili.
But I mean, even still, it's still better than like a quicker carb source, you know.
A which?
But yeah, it just like a more like better than rice or something. Still, like it's gonna digest more slowly. But it isn't. It's hard to find something like purely keto.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just been doing like I think I went pretty hard for like 2 months, just being super strict about it, and I think I lost like 10 pounds or something.
Oh wow!
And then after that, I was just kind of being more lenient, and now it's kind of balanced itself out.
Yeah, well, it's kind of nice too. Like if you're finding you're not eating much during the day, you're almost doing like a fast, probably in the like early part of the day, and then saving your carbs and calories up for the evening.
Yeah. I noticed that you've been doing the intermittent fasting too, right?
Yeah, I usually try and do like 16 hours. What I've been doing is like 16 hours and then 8 hours basically. So like I'll eat my first meal really quick, and then I try and wait another 8 hours till I eat my second meal, and then I basically go to bed. after I'm done my second meal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do like 2 bulletproof coffees in the day though. So like I call it fasting, but I mean it's I guess technically not fasting because I have a bulletproof coffee before my first real meal.
Right.
But because there's no carbohydrate or protein, you don't really have a blood glucose or insulin release, so I still consider it fasting. But yeah, I found it's really effective, and then it's almost like getting the benefit of 2 fasts in the day.
Oh. What do you put in your bulletproof? What do you put in your coffee?
I just use like, have you heard of XCT oil, like by the Bulletproof brand? Or do you know anything about the
That's the MCT oil.
Yeah, it's MCT oil, but it's called XCT, and it's like 16 times stronger, I guess, than, or like more concentrated than a regular coconut oil or MCT. So
Okay.
I do a tablespoon of that, and it's like created by the guy who wrote like the Bulletproof book and owns the company, Dave Asprey.
Yeah.
So it's just like a really concentrated form of MCT, basically. So flavorless and still just like the same amount of fats in a serving as MCT oil, but just supposed to be more effective.
Oh,
and
okay.
then just a tablespoon of grass-fed butter.
Okay.
And
That's
also
interesting.
stevia because I still can't do it black.
How do you do it? Do you do it with a press or like how do you make your coffee?
Yeah, I recently switched over. So I used to be like, when I was prepping all the time, I was like a coffee addict because it was just like something I could make taste sweet without added calories.
Yeah.
And so I used to use the Keurig like endlessly, and I had an espresso machine too, and I got rid of all of it, and now I just do 2 French press a day, and that's it.
Yeah. I find that it tastes more cleaner and smooth when you do with a press.
Yeah, exactly. It's way better, and because it's not as bitter.
Yeah, unless you leave it for too long, I find.
Then yeah, I'm kind of anal. I usually like set a timer on my microwave when it's steeping.
Yeah.
But I like the process of making it too. Like I feel like I enjoy it way more.
Yeah. Have you tried pour overs?
I haven't actually, but it's basically the same, right?
It's like another level of like clean coffee. Like but it's like it takes more preparation. It's kind of like have you seen it before?
Yeah, because when I order decaf at Starbucks, I have to wait a fucking hour for it.
No, I don't. Oh, really? They do?
Yeah, like they do pour over for stuff that's not like brewed already.
Oh.
So if they're just going to do like an individual cup. So if I ever order a decaf like in the middle of the day, but no, I've considered it. I didn't know it was like it's that much better.
It just, the flavors come out of your beans a bit more, I find. It's still it's still good. Like French press is still like really good and like a really clean way of doing it. But by doing it with the pour over, there's just like this other level. Like it almost comes out. It's not, the coffee comes out brown, like not black. You know, it's got a little bit of transparency to it.
Well, and it's easy. Like it's so easy. You don't even really need equipment.
Yeah, oh yeah, you do for a pour over.
Well, you can just do it because don't you just use the filter and the beans, right? And then you just like pour your hot water over and let it drip through.
Yeah, there's technique to it though. Apparently, you have to like pour the water over in a circular fashion so it gets over the beans evenly, and apparently that the way you pour it affects how it drips as well. Usually there's like a funnel at the top of your cup. And it just like drips in, yeah.
In Vancouver, you guys probably have all the good coffee shops.
Yeah, some of them are. There's this other one that looks like I think it's a siphon. It's called. It looks like a chemistry set, and it's like the coffee is in a beaker on top of another beaker that has water in it, and the beaker with the water is on a little burner, and then once that, there's like all these other tubes and stuff coming out of the bottom one, and once the water gets to a certain temperature, it like siphons all the way to the top beaker, and then it mixes in with the coffee, and then it like drips back down into the bottom beaker with
I've seen that in coffee shops.
It's insane. But the place that I had it at did very poorly, and it tasted like dirt when I.
Oh, I know. I actually like hate Starbucks coffee too now.
Yeah.
It tastes so bitter to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the guy who does like the bulletproof stuff, he like markets his own beans. Do you know this?
Yeah, he does the stuff with the. He does tests on them to see if there's any mold. I think that's why he.
And then if you follow Joe Rogan, did you hear Joe Rogan like tested beans independently and didn't actually find any mold in like regular beans?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, not worth the $25 a bag for the bulletproof stuff.
Yeah, but I guess from what I've heard and seen, the bulletproof MCT oil is actually really good. Like the quality of it.
Yeah, I love the oil, and like he has two. He has like one's brain octane, and I think it's like 6 times as concentrated, and then the XCT oil, or sorry, no, the other way around. Oh wait, yeah, I think one of them's stronger. I forget the name. One's brain octane and one's XCT. Anyways, and the one's like 6 or 8 times stronger, and then one's like 16 times stronger. But it's nice. It's nice too because for the price, really, I feel like it's more value than getting just the regular MCT.
I should probably try that because I have this big like half-liter of MCT oil from I can't remember the company. They have that orange label, orange and blue.
Oh, I don't know what it is.
Called. They have.
But yeah, I like the.
Yeah, you go.
And too, what's that?
I don't know.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, if you find that you like don't have time to eat in the morning or like while you're working, it's just super satiating. Like, it holds me over for hours.
Yeah, because maybe I should try that because I don't see like this working at all. Like, I don't feel a difference with this MCT oil that I'm using, but I'm always cautious because there's been a few times where I've put too much MCT oil in my coffee, and it's like.
Do you follow Tim Ferriss?
I used to.
Oh, because he calls that disaster pants.
Yeah.
Okay. But the XCT oil, they say like really start small and work your way up.
Right.
Because most people are like super sensitive to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done like 2 tablespoons and never noticed. I've always been fine. I think I have a really high tolerance.
Yeah. What do you feel about like coffee after, as like a post-workout thing? Because that was something I read about. Because I used to do it all the time. Like, I'd have a coffee after my workout. Because usually I'd have a coffee before, and then there'd be some left over at the end, and then I just finish it off. And then maybe have another one throughout the day. But I heard that it kind of hijacks your... I can't remember what it's called. I should have written it down.
Like something to do with protein synthesis? I would think as long as you're hydrating enough, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
I've never like read about it as post-workout, like specifically.
Maybe it is the synthesis because it's basically you're supplementing with the caffeine where your body should be doing the work of processing everything, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I could see. Yeah, and almost like keeping your body in like a state of exertion because it's like creating continued like thermogenesis almost. So I wonder if the stimulant effect post-workout would be negative.
Yeah. Something like that.
I've never heard about this, but that makes sense.
There's I follow T Nation on Facebook, and they every once in a while they come up with these like this is what you're doing wrong, or these are the 5 exercises you're not doing, or weird things like that. And that was one of the things they had is
I
like
follow
that
most of their
don't
stuff.
be drinking coffee after.
It's one of those things I feel like in nutrition, though, it's like for the 50% that says that, probably 50% like say that it's beneficial.
Yeah.
But yeah, I follow T Nation. I know one of the guys, like a doctor in physiotherapy, John Russin, who writes for them. He and I have worked on some projects before. So, I mean, he doesn't write nutrition stuff, but he writes some really interesting physio type stuff for them.
Oh, cool. What did you work on with him?
We were writing articles. Well, he and I were both authors on the Breaking Muscle website. I don't know if you remember. It was like, I haven't written anything for them for a couple of years now. But I was writing nutrition articles and he was writing physio articles, and then we collaborated and did a online training program through the website where he did all the like training and I did all the nutrition.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was pretty interesting because we never met in person. Like we've only just chatted on Skype and phone and stuff. But he's in the States, and yeah, he's much more impressive than I. But he's really built a good following, and he knows his stuff.
Who's your clientele lately, usually?
Right now I'm focusing mostly on like just general lifestyle clients. I actually said that after this group of contest prep clients, like this season, I'm going to be done coaching contest prep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a show here next weekend, which is like provincials here in Saskatoon, and then I'm not going to take any new contest prep clients. Basically, anyone who like is prepping with me now and wants to continue competing, I'll keep working with if they want to. But other than that, I'm just going to focus on lifestyle and health.
Yeah. Do you still get to hold, even if you're not competing or whatever, do you still get to hold your IBF tight or whatever it's called?
IFBB, yeah. There's some like small organizations where they like force you to compete like every year, every 2 years to maintain your title. But in the IFBB, you're a pro for life. So like you could pick back up anytime. It's just like you have to pay for your membership that year, kind of thing.
Right.
So, but I don't see that happening. I like to say I'm retired.
What happened? How come you stopped?
Nothing like dramatic or anything. It's really eye-opening to see at the pro level, like what everyone's doing and, whether politics are involved. And, I never really loved being on stage. Like a lot of women like love the show day part where you're like being, dolled up and like doing the thing on stage. I really like, not that I don't like it, but I don't enjoy it necessarily. And so that part to me is like just anxious to get over and done with.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's like, it's a long day and I like everything that like leads up to it and the training and stuff. But just to stay that lean, like my health was not awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for women to stay that lean, like just risks many health issues that men don't necessarily risk in the same way.
Right.
So, I don't know. I kind of was like, yeah, I saw what I wanted to see and kind of achieved what I wanted to achieve. And I think a lot of it is like knowing that there's some like females looking up to me, even if it's just a handful, that I don't want to set an unrealistic standard of like, I was getting lots of comments of like younger girls, and like it was getting younger and younger, being like, oh, like goals, I want to look like this. And to know what I was like having to sacrifice for my own health, I'm like, but I don't want you to want to look like this, like.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to contradict like what I'm telling my clients to do in like creating a general healthy lifestyle, and then like see me doing this and people thinking it's realistic when it's just not.
That's an interesting point that like especially now with how Instagram's blowing up with all the fitness models and men and women and all that. And I'm sure you follow a lot of fitness stuff on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like all those photos are professionally done and they're well lit and, although they've cut a bunch of weight in order to prep for that photo shoot type of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And like I didn't even know, and then not even like using fat burners and like saying they're healthy and feeling good, but like I'll see girls who I know locally posting stuff like that, and I know they're binge eating and stuff. Like it's just, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And then like photoshopping using apps and stuff, like it's just so easy, and it's really like hilarious too. Like so now I'm obviously way heavier and like not lean, and it doesn't bother me. Like I'll post a picture like in my state now and get like 100, 200 likes, and then I have this app on my phone, Time Hop, which shows me what I posted like a year ago on Instagram to the date.
Mm-hmm.
And last year at this time, I was like just out of my first pro show, so I was really lean, and I had just posted like a random like morning physique picture, and it gets like 3,200 likes. And I post like a gym picture the other day, and it gets like 200. You know, so you understand why people get pulled into staying that way. Or like something I was started learning last year is that girls and guys will take their like whole year's worth of content for Instagram and stuff in like a few months when they're lean,
Yeah.
and then post like new photos, and I'm like, I would never do that.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience, first of all, to do that. But, you know, and I think there's something to be said about like being transparent and posting your day to day, and that people relate to that more.
I guess it depends on what you want to say with your feed. Like for me, for instance, and I use it as sort of an art gallery. So it doesn't really, like, I do post stuff that's my day to day a little bit. Like, it's like, oh, I'm editing this or I'm doing this, but I try to make it like an art gallery. So then with that, it's just like, well, those old pictures. Like, I remember what was one I put, I took a picture of a swan in some bay in this in some city in Norway. And I haven't been to Norway in like 7 years or something. And people were like, I got text messages saying, "How come you're in Norway right now?" And I'm like, "No, this is an old picture." It's like,
Not updated.
yeah, so I was just like, I haven't put it on social media, and I like the picture, so I put it up on my Instagram.
Yeah, well, and exactly for you that makes sense. And that's the thing is I think most fitness influencers are like more. I'm fine if they're like portraying it as like this is my album and like not up to date, but it bothers me when people are like saying this is how I look right now when it's not, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it works, and that's the thing though, it works for them, and it's obviously has its reason, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's too bad too because I think when that's the majority of what you're seeing in fitness, I understand that it's aesthetically pleasing, but it creates a standard that people don't understand what goes into it necessarily.
Yeah. Did you see Bigger, Stronger, Faster? The documentary by
Mark Bell
Yeah.
or Chris Bell.
Chris, yeah.
Yeah, I follow him, and actually he does keto now,
Yeah.
and him and his girlfriend have like a YouTube that's like keto strong. But yeah, I did. It's really interesting.
He kind of shows it too, where it's like how you can, even with like supplements and stuff, and how you don't really need to test it. You just kind of throw it out there.
Oh yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, and just saying when he talks about like how he realized like all his idols were like doing what they're doing to achieve that look, you know, and it's like a heart wrenching like realization as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think like it's just interesting too. I think like as much as men experience it, they don't talk about it as much. So with me working with majority women, to know how I think all women just in a basic like female way expect something out of their bodies, like in terms of a look, and then to have these like for most people unrealistic bodies coming at them like 24/7 on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing what it really takes is just like setting you up for failure.
Do you know what's interesting? It's like the cover of the magazines that you see at the grocery store, and even in the fitness magazines. And I think people over the years have learned that those are all doctored, and those are not realistic photos because they're in a magazine. But then you put those same photos into social media, and people all of a sudden now think that, oh, okay, that's more realistic. But it's the
Yeah.
same. Do you know what I mean?
And like with now, like it's not just because when it's in a magazine or when, even if it's on your feed, but it's like a professionally taken photo, you would assume that those have been edited, you know, or maybe even Photoshop. But now with like the easy apps on your phone, you can be editing your selfies to look thinner or like more glutes or more boobs or whatever you want, and you don't expect that. But I always think it's funny when people get called out on them though.
Get
And
called
I'm
out
like,
on.
I understand if you like have a blemish that you're gonna like blur out, but if you are like changing the shape of your body dramatically, I don't like that.
Or even if it's lighting it a certain way to make things pop.
The extra contrast on Instagram.
Yeah. Because I figured it out. I've taken some like shirtless pictures of me over the years, and I figured out how to light my stomach so that it looks like I have abs, which I don't. But there's a certain angle that I put a light, and it's like, oh, and the camera, and it's like cool. I can make it look like I have abs, and there's no editing. It's just the way that you light it.
Oh yeah, it's crazy what you can change, and that's the thing. Like, no one's analyzing pictures like that when they're just scrolling through.
Yeah.
And then not even that, the pictures that it is just like, because for most people there's still a basic physique that's very impressive, you know, like, and but even some of those, it's well, like I'm actually, like for me, just personally, doing 2 hours of cardio a day to look like that, and eating a severely restricted diet for like almost a year last year to look like that. So I mean, for most people, with or without Photoshop, it's not realistic.
No. It's not. It's not really sustainable. Because I mean, you're to look like that all the time. You're sacrificing so much, and you're also, like, I mean, you're not going out and having fun or anything, really.
Yeah, it's pretty restricted. That's the thing. That's one of the biggest things with me and like not choosing to compete anymore too. Is like last year I was in Montreal, I was in California, like, and that was not for competing. That was just for like holiday. And then on top of competing, like was in Vancouver and Toronto and Louisiana, and literally saw nothing. Like had to prep and freeze all my food and take it with me, and like it's worth it for me when I'm sticking to a goal, but like I don't want that to be my life where I've never actually experienced the culture and got to travel in a real way. Right. So like this year we went to France in January, and it was such a different experience than if I would have had to gone and been on prep, you know.
Yeah, so you actually get to enjoy it all.
Yeah, and even for like my partner, like Josh, you know, it affects him too. Not that he's not supportive of it; he would do anything. But if I'm in the gym for 2 hours a morning on holiday, like that means he's probably there with me. And you know, if my meals have to come first, that affects his schedule too.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a break.
That's an interesting thing to think about. Is like having. It's not also your sacrifice; it's his sacrifice too.
Oh yeah, like I tell that to everyone. I would never have been able to do this for like the last. Even I'm sure you remember, like when we did that gym photo shoot, he was there.
Yeah.
And like he's just there with me all the time, and I always say like I never would have been able to compete like this without him, and he never missed a show. Like if I needed him to like cook for me because I was so like dead from training and stuff, like he would never complain. So, and I mean he works a really extremely busy job as an accountant, and he works like a million hours all the time, so it's not like he doesn't have his own priorities. But I don't know how people do it when one spouse or like one of the significant others is like even in like severely into gym or fitness and the others not, let alone like one person being a competitor and not. Like Josh had at least done a show before and really lived that lifestyle, so he knew it was what it was about. But for some people, when it's just like so separated, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. For Yeah, I had a friend go through something recently. He's a filmmaker, and his partner they kind of had some issues come up because of it, and she said something that stuck with me, and she said to him that all these years I've been living your dream.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, because she's there supporting him with like the film and stuff like that, that she's not really following her own dreams, she's following his. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
oh yeah, that's huge.
yeah. So it really kind of shows that the amount of commitment needed to follow somebody down a path like that, right?
Totally, yeah, and that's what I feel like. I kind of feel like now I achieved what I wanted to achieve, and I feel like Josh did have to make so many sacrifices, and there was for sure times where I felt like that, like I was forcing him to be like just along for the ride, kind of following me around wherever I went and expecting him to be there. And so now it's kind of his time to be able to focus on his career, and I can support him more.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing too. Like, I mean, I'm sure in film and stuff it's similar. Like bodybuilding's a selfish sport, and to be the best, you have to be the most selfish. I mean, there's a balance that can be found, but I think it's really difficult.
Yeah, for real.
And even you, you even have trained intensely and stuff, and like stuck to a diet in the past, and like you know how much that takes when you're trying to balance your career.
Yeah.
It takes it, and then to like do it at a competitive level is like, you know, just that much more intense.
Yeah. And then sometimes you get people ridiculing you. I remember I used to bring a bag of cold bacon onto set. And all through the day I would just eat, and people would come like, "Hey, got some bacon?" Because it would always be in my kit right by the camera, and I'd have this bacon with me.
That's awesome. Did they take it? Did they appreciate the offer? I would be very flattered if someone was willing to share their bacon with me.
Oh, I had it, and then they made fun of me until after a bit, when they became like a regular thing. They were just like, "Well, let me try some of this bacon," and it's just bacon that's sitting in a Ziploc bag.
That's what the best though is when people like judge it, but then they see your results and they want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
The results eventually speak for themselves. That's one of the things that I really love about bodybuilding is that there's a lot of people who are outspoken and annoying, and I always say, like, in this sport, your physique will always speak for itself. So you can just keep your mouth shut and do your work and put your head down. And similar to your work, like, your work would be the same way. It will always speak for itself. You show.
Yeah. However, I do have imposter syndrome, like a lot of people do.
That's really interesting. I really only, like, heard what that was, like, a year ago, and I think it's very interesting. I think the most successful, I kind of have, like, a theory that some of the most successful people, let's not say, like, someone like Kevin O'Leary, who's very proud and confident, but some of the most successful people in the world, I think, have imposter syndrome, and it's what keeps them pushing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's aspects of that where you're never comfortable.
Yeah, and I notice it too. Like, I notice if I get comfortable in something, everything kind of goes downhill. And then I'm like, aha, I was right. I am an imposter. And then I get that feeling again. And then somehow I end up with another really cool gig. And I'm like, oh, I don't deserve to be here. And then you get comfortable in that situation, and then you kind of fall off.
It's hard. Like, that's the thing. I feel like so many people do that, and it's hard because you never enjoy your successes, you know, like you never actually celebrate your successes. And like, I think when I won my pro card, I thought it would be like this amazing feeling, but then it's just like, I got lucky. Like I always say that, like that day I just got lucky because the judging was just in my favor. And then you don't even celebrate because it's like on to the next thing. And like for you, on to the next project, I'm sure. Like,
yeah. That's totally it, because you go through all the steps to get to that point and to get, you know, your win, and so you know that all that goes into it, and you know all the variables, so it's like everything needs to line up a certain way in order for you to win that day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like, oh, you deserved it, and you like, you brought your A game that day. Well, it's like, yeah, you did, but also all these other factors are involved, and you kind of see that because you live it.
Oh yeah,
Does that make sense?
I feel like it's funny I love when people say like, so and so was an overnight sensation, or like, oh, you won your pro card so fast, or like maybe for you, like you got the CBC gig so quickly, and people don't see what you've been grinding at for the last however many years. They only see the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day too, of just like, I've been working on this video thing by myself, and it's weird doing like video selfie type things because you're in a room by yourself talking to yourself. And I just started having this conversation with myself about like, how weird is it how you got here? You're in this apartment in Vancouver talking to yourself to a camera, and it all started. And then I did this sort of like thought exercise where it's like, okay, well, how did I get to this point? And then just backtracking, and you see this weird domino effect of like chance opportunities that got you further in your career. Like, for instance, maybe it's like, oh, because I made this one movie that introduced me to this guy, and then this guy was on a different project, and they needed somebody, so he knew me, and then so I got that project because of that. So you start connecting all these weird dots, and if one of those dots isn't in the right spot, you're not ended up talking to yourself in the apartment in Vancouver because, you know what I mean? That data point didn't happen.
It sounds mildly schizophrenic, but I do understand. No, but it's like the butterfly effect. Did you ever watch that movie?
Yeah.
I was like obsessed with it when it originally came out, but that theory obviously has been forever. But same thing, like one thing would have changed, and what would have happened?
Yeah.
And my example of that is like I've like heard talked about this an annoying amount of times. But so the year I won my pro card, I hadn't used a coach going into my earlier shows that season, and then I contacted 3 coaches that I was like wanting to help me get ready for nationals, and nobody would take me on. 2 didn't answer, I think, and then 1 asked me for photos and then told me like I wasn't going to be ready in time for nationals, and like basically said he wouldn't coach me because I wasn't good enough. So
that's weird.
I was like momentarily defeated, and I'm sure I cried. And then I did nationals, got 3rd, went on to do North Americans like a few weeks later, and won my pro card. And so that's always like my like defining moment of if I wouldn't have just pushed through despite what that guy said, and to nationals, I would have never gone to North Americans, and I would have never won my pro card that year.
Do you find that like spite was a bit of a motivating factor in that?
I don't know. Like, I think I always have pushed to like be giving 100% every day. So I don't know if it like pushed me harder at all. Like, I always feel like I push to the point there's no more I could give, in nutrition and everything. So, but I definitely like was happy to see him at pro shows. Like, he'll be backstage now, and I don't know if he really knows who I am. Like, I was maybe just an email that came in through his inbox kind of thing.
Sure.
But then, last year he'd like be backstage at shows, and I felt very like smitten just sitting there with my pro card. But and that's one of those things though too. Like it probably part of it was like getting lucky with judges that day, like just preferring my look, and based on his knowledge, I thought my look wouldn't do well. But I mean, in bodybuilding, it's so like so subjective.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things too. You can't really take anyone's word for God.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm intrigued by what your your individual movie project is, where you're talking to yourself. What is this?
It was I'm kind of in the middle of doing it, so my whole place is turned into a video shoot.
I think you cut out.
Oh, my whole place is just turned into a video shoot with a green screen and stuff, but it's I'm trying to do a podcast type thing. So it's this.
Hold on, I can't hear you anymore.
Oh.
I hear like a very faint whisper.
How about this now?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it's this, a recorded conversation type of thing, but it's me talking to myself. So the other night I recorded one half of it, and now I just have to flip it around and, like, record the other half.
Oh, like you're an interviewer and interviewee almost?
I'm interviewing myself.
Are you gonna, like, sell this or send it to someone?
No, I don't know. I hate business, and I hate having to sell things. I just like making stuff and putting it out there.
You should just throw it up on YouTube and get it out there.
No, that's totally what I'm gonna do with it. And then, like, it's just a fun thing to do.
Oh.
I don't know. It was just an idea I came up with, and then, yeah. And then if it works out, then I might do a few more of them. I don't know. We'll see.
That's cool. Well, that's the thing that's cool about YouTube. Like, your audience creates itself.
Yeah.
You can see if there's interest in it, motivates you to keep going.
Or even if there's no interest in it. Like this, I don't really care if there's interest in this. It's way more self-serving.
Yeah, it's like therapeutic, probably.
Yeah, you feel good after talking to somebody. And usually it's like an hour, and an hour just flies by, and you're just like, oh, okay. Oh, that was good.
Yeah, and I'm in the, like, one where you're talking to yourself. Like, I will do some vlogs and stuff, and, like, when I was in contest prep, it was very much, like, my outlet, kind of, whether or not people were watching.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people always end up watching because they're so intrigued by that, like, transparency.
Yeah.
That's exciting. What about, like, photo stuff? Are you doing as much or more focusing just on film? I see you post, like, some newer stuff.
Yeah. I was supposed to do a photo shoot with a model, like, maybe a month ago or so, but last minute sort of just backed down. Or no, she's I think full out flaked.
Oh, bummer.
It was just one of the things, yeah. So every once in a while I'll reach out and I'll see if there's anybody interested in some photos and stuff, and then usually they flake out, and then I get upset quietly. Oh, sorry, I'm eating chicken. This part didn't even... I don't know what's wrong with this recording device that is called QuickTime Screen Capture, Movie Capture, whatever. Anyways, this part is gone. So, yeah, well, pick it up wherever it cuts back in here. Did you have to go through the provincial qualifiers?
So I didn't have... Okay, this is what happened.
Okay.
I just had finished competing in bodybuilding, so I was still at, like, my stage weight, which was really low for me, like 135. And, like, in the off-season, I was, like, 170. So not that I needed to be that fat, I just was. Mm-hmm. But so then, like, the weekend after my show, we were just hanging out, and I was like, oh, I should do a powerlifting meet, like, in the off-season, just as, like, a fun goal, and because I'll be doing that style of lifting or whatever. So I started looking, and it turned out there was a national meet in Red Deer the next weekend. Mm-hmm. So then we looked up what the records were, and based on what my weight was and my strength, we thought that I would have a good shot at, like, beating all the records. So I had not trained, hadn't, like, bench deadlifted for probably a year. Like, I squatted, and that was it. And so that day we went home, practiced all my, like, close to 1 rep maxes just to see, like, what I could get. And they were all higher than, like, the existing records.
Holy crap.
So I basically trained for, like, less than a week, went to Red Deer, and I beat all the records except for the deadlift. And so I won, like, from my total, won nationals. But I should say, like, it was in a newer organization. So there wasn't, like, epic records by any means. anyways, but that qualified me for Worlds, and then we were like, well, I guess we need to go. So then that was another thing I dragged Josh to, the poor boy. And yeah, I did. It was like decent. By the time I got there, my strength was like totally through the floor because I had been holding my weight class for so long.
Yeah.
So I was like, I peaked probably like 3 weeks too early. And by the time I got to the meet, I was using my maxes at the meet were like my openers in what I expected based on my training.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty brutal. But I got like 8th out of like 16 or 20 girls. And like the majority of those girls had competed at Worlds before and actually like trained in powerlifting. So I mean, I can't complain. But
yeah,
it was like a one and done thing. I'll never probably powerlift competitively ever again.
Which organization was it?
CPL.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, Canadian Powerlifting League, but they are like the American version is like IPL, which is like the biggest organization or one of the biggest organizations in the States. So it will grow. It's just fairly new here.
Oh, why? Again? Oh. Yeah, I think it just drops out every once in a while.
Yeah. What do you remember?
When I was living in Saskatoon, there was 2 organizations. And they all trained at on 8th there.
Oh, at the basement gym.
Yeah. I can't remember what that was called.
Ironworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's growing now for sure here. Like at Synergy, the CrossFit gym, they do a lot of powerlifting.
I was there. That place is awesome.
Yeah. So I was just kind of like YOLOing it and didn't have like a training program or anything. So I mean, I probably could have done things in a better way, but
at Synergy? Or you mean just in powerlifting?
Yeah, just in powerlifting, like, and because I was to hold my weight, I was doing like an hour of cardio a day on top of my powerlifting training.
Oh,
so
wow. When like most of those powerlifters do 0 cardio.
Yeah, and they're like eating in a surplus. So I was like eating in a calorie deficit plus doing all this cardio, and yeah, now my body's so beat up, like I can't even squat now.
Wow.
That's all right. I always say like do as I say, not as I do, because I knew this would happen.
Yeah.
In terms of getting so beat up, but it could be worse.
It could be. I was thinking about kind of something along the same lines today while I was at the gym, and it's like, in one sense, we as in people that work out, are at an advantage for when they get older, and then, we get all of them health problems and stuff, to a certain degree, because then if you're like, you never really worked out and you're in your 50s, you go for your physical and it's like, oh, well, this is wrong with you, this is wrong with you, this is wrong with you, you need to start exercising and stuff like that. But I think people like us who have been doing it for such a long time, we're less likely to have those issues going forward. However, if you exercise to an extreme level, you're going to have another set of problems when you get older.
Absolutely, you push it too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what my business, I would say, is kind of like, I was even talking to you about the new logo and stuff, because I'm kind of changing streams based on that realization.
Yeah.
For myself, it's always been competitive, and that's fine, but like what I want to focus on for other people is longevity and, like I always say, a sustainable and maintainable lifestyle, and that's not what I was reflecting. And even for myself, I'm like 26, probably need knee surgeries now, and like that's not necessarily health,
Yeah.
For the competitive goal, it was what it was, and I was willing to sacrifice that. But so to be showing a physique all the time that looks really cool and impressive, but that's the result, is not something that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny you brought up wrestling, though, because I've been having the itch recently. So I was looking, and I know you did some MMA stuff, didn't you? And I was looking into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I heard it's a lot less impactful, like in terms of concussion and stuff, too. So I'm like, maybe.
There's a little bit still, like it's same sort of idea as wrestling where you could get like accidental headbutt or an elbow to the face by accident just by being in close quarters like that and moving your limbs around. Just accidental, like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bumps.
And just the throws even too, right?
Yeah, I think in jiu-jitsu the throws are less. They're like not so predominant. I think it's just all about like sweeps and you just take the person down.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, my research stems from YouTube, so who fucking knows what I really know. But I was looking at some videos yesterday, and it was like a compilation of like the best takedowns for jiu-jitsu. And it was mostly like just normal like wrestling takedowns or like MMA takedowns, like double, single legs and trips and stuff. But there was like 2 variations, I think, of a throw.
Oh, okay.
Nothing like dramatic. But I mean, something that's different from wrestling because they had the guys like grabbing onto the belt.
Right, yeah.
To like use as leverage or whatever. So I don't know, but maybe one day.
You should. It's fun. I live right above a jiu-jitsu gym, but it's expensive, and so I'm like, I'm not gonna. It was $150 a month.
Well, that's the thing. If you want like a normal traditional gym membership on top of it, it just ends up being way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to pick and choose.
And the gym I go to here, it's kind of like Ironworks, where it's just a rat gym, sort of dirty, dingy basement thing. It's really cool.
That's the best kind.
Yeah, and but it got really bad, and now they're like upgrading everything. So, but they have this one really nice room where they do yoga classes, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, like a whole bunch of different stuff.
Oh,
and
sweet.
It's like they offer jiu-jitsu courses for like $60 on top of your membership, which is like $40, your monthly gym membership.
Oh, it's not so yeah, cheaper than having both.
Yeah, so I might do that. But also there's a kickboxing gym downtown that I've been looking into. I might try that. And then they don't do monthly things, and I hate having to do for something like that where it's class-based and my schedule's all over the board. I like having like a punch card, and that's what this place does, where you buy a punch card of 20, so you just go in and whenever you can, instead of having like a monthly membership where you're sort of, to get your money's worth, you're committed to 3 classes a week type of thing. No. Do you find like that, because I noticed, because I follow your Instagram stories, that you slept in the other day, and then that made me think about like how much of a difference it makes to get up early in the morning. Just
oh yeah, I prefer it.
Mood, everything. It's just to get you, you know.
Yeah, and it's weird because I think I'm a night owl, but I'm also a morning person.
Yeah. And
like in university, I would function off like 4 hours of sleep. I was like a crazy person, but I felt fine, and I would just like sleep from like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And so when Josh isn't here, like if he's gone for work or something, I fall back into that like pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice when he's here because he's very structured, and so he like goes to bed at a normal person hour and wakes up at like 5:30 or 6, and so I just like follow his schedule. But that's one of the things working for myself. It's easy for me to just be flexible, but I always prefer when I get up earlier. I try and like have my emails all done by noon, and then work on like other projects like from noon on.
Yeah. That's really good. When I have a stretch of like just personal projects, that's what I find. That routine is the same one that you're doing, is like works well for me too. But if I get off of that, oh boy, it's disaster. Like if I accidentally hit the snooze too many times and I wake up and it's 11, it's like the whole day is just done.
Oh yeah, well, and then too probably like the next day because you're like catching up and.
Yeah, I mean, I can push things though, like work stuff. I can move it around and push it. I think it's just, for me, I'm finding it's a lot of regulating my mood. Not that I'm like all over the place. It's just like if I sleep in too often, or haven't gone to the gym in like 5 days or whatever it is. I can feel like sort of a depression setting in, especially here too in Vancouver, where the weather really does affect your mood. And I know people say, "Oh no, it doesn't," but it does. It's a big deal when the sun's not out for when you don't see it for weeks, and it's just wet. And it's weird because you feel so powerless over it. And then you have a nice hot day and the sun's out and you feel great and you're just like, you feel guilty about it because it's like, oh, I'm only feeling great because the sun's out.
Well, it's funny you get in a funk. I've always said too, like, I think that people who are like have only grown up in that don't think that seasonal depression is a thing because they haven't experienced anything else.
Yeah.
I think if you go from like that extreme to another, you really notice it.
That's true. Like what I don't remember what we deal with in Saskatchewan. I know it's like really cold and like, but I don't remember it being a big deal.
I think some people in the winter, but I wonder, like, I think Vancouver would probably be worse because even once the snow is gone, you're getting those, like, really gloomy, rainy days, which we don't really get so much here.
No,
so,
like, it could
even
be...
when it's still cold, it's bright.
Yeah. Even brighter because the sun reflects off the snow, so it's like you get that snow blindness.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, the rainy days would be more impactful in terms of mood. But I find I'm the same way, like, in terms of structure and schedule. Like, I thrive when I am super busy and, like, consistent in my schedule. And then there'll be days where I'm like, oh, like, I should give myself a rest day or, like, a day off. And I totally feel, like, in a funk on those days.
Yeah.
I just do way better sticking to that, like, structured day.
Yeah. And then do you find that if you have one or two of those days, it's hard to get back? Like, it takes more effort to get back into that rhythm?
Yeah, I say that all the time. Like, for me, even though I know it's, like, beneficial, even a day out of the gym makes it harder for me to go back in the gym. So, like, when I would be in contest prep, I never took rest days. Like, I would just go, and even if it's, like, a lighter workout, I'd at least be there and keep that routine flowing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be, like, I'm trying not to let it affect me so much. Like, so I'm doing more, like, weights 4 times a week and, like, a couple functional workouts and, like, something outside and trying to keep more consistent like that so it's not so structured. And, like, how you mentioned, like, you almost burned out, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've been doing just that routine for so long that it's good to force myself to mix it up without, like, falling into a funk.
Mm-hmm. Do you do stuff at home, or are you one of those people that needs to go out and to a facility?
I recently got a spin bike for home, which I think if I was, like, in contest prep, that I would have really liked that because I would do, like, my fasted cardio here in the morning, just in terms of efficiency. But when I work out, I like to go to the gym just because I work from home, and otherwise I'm literally would, like, be at home all day.
Yeah.
And so, because, too, Josh is so busy, that's kind of, like, sometimes the only times we see each other in a day is, like, at the gym. Mm-hmm. But I do, now that it's nice out, I, like, make an effort to either, like, walk or, like, ride my bike or go to the gym.
Yeah.
And that way I'm not stuck doing cardio, like, staring at the wall on the Stairmaster.
Yeah. Do you go to more than one place?
I used to always go to Mawson, which is where we shot those photos. And then for a while I was, like, doing prep and bodybuilding or powerlifting, I was going to Mawson for my lift because it's more, like, of a serious gym. And then I would do my cardio in the morning at Motion just because it's closer to me. Mm-hmm. So for, like, probably a few months I was, like, double dipping. But then now that I'm not bodybuilding, I just am just at Motion now, which is, like, way more corporate and, like, social.
Right.
So if I was prepping, I probably wouldn't stay there just because it's hard to get work done, I find. But, yeah, for now, just that one.
Yeah.
But I'm getting lots of toys, like, got a kayak, and I recently bought a longboard and a bike. So,
what kind of bike did you get?
A Walmart special. It's just a like 7-speed, like, it's called a Huffy, and its
Okay.
name is Bernard. But yeah, nothing like fancy. Just basically was like to ride back and forth to the gym.
Yeah.
But it's lasted me, like, it's done pretty well. I haven't had any issues with it. I got it last summer, and I really enjoy it. So
Yeah. I still have a Sport Check one that I bought a lot of years ago. They hold up pretty good.
oh, see, good. The Huffy is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bernard, and then the longboard is Betty, and so they're a thing. But I'm not a pro at the longboard yet. I just got it like a week ago, so I'm learning.
Yeah.
But in Vancouver, you use your bike to get everywhere, hey?
In the summer.
I would be too scared to be on the streets there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of bike lanes. A lot of people are afraid of riding around, but I think after you do it a little bit, you get less scared. You just get more aware.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have better paths than in Saskatoon.
Yeah. There's some streets that you go down and you just... It's almost like... I like it because you get into such a zone where you're super aware of everything on the street. At least I do anyway. So it becomes almost this meditative thing for me to ride my bike in the streets and stuff. Any sort of stress in the day, anything, it's all gone because you're just focusing on traffic. If you're riding, for me anyways, if I'm riding and there's traffic on my left and say parked cars on my right, I'm more focused on the cars on my right and I'm looking at every single, what's it called, rearview mirror to see if there's anybody in that car and see if like that door's going to open. So I may be going like 30K down a street and I'm still like looking, I'm aware of what's on my left, I'm aware of traffic, but I'm really paying attention to a door that might just pop open out of nowhere. I've seen it happen and it sucks.
You're hypersensitive. Oh my god, I can't imagine.
Yeah, getting doored.
Oh god, yeah. Here I like only ride we're in Evergreen, which, do you know where Evergreen is?
That's a new one, right?
Yeah, you probably gone really before it like built up, but so like past Willow Grove basically, like, and so I just like ride my bike to the gym and back, and that's really as far as I go.
Yeah.
Because to get anywhere like cool, I would basically have to like go over an overpass, and not about
It's
that.
in the south end of the city, right?
Okay, I don't know directions, but like
The road that you take, like Circle Drive, that you turn off to go to Regina. And there's
no, it's like, do you know where like University Heights is? Like off McCormick and Attridge, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
Little shopping center with like a Gold's Gym and stuff. It's like beyond that now.
Oh, okay.
It was it was like Gold's Gym probably when you were here, and now it turned into Motion Fitness.
I think I've been there when it was Gold's.
Yeah, it's basically the exact same. They just changed the name.
Right. Oh, yeah, so all that's built up now.
Yeah, and it's like just keeps expanding. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like out in the boonies, to be honest, but I don't need to go anywhere, so that's fine.
Yeah. I also find like for biking, it's like it's a fun way to get your cardio. Like on the weekends, we'll do like big mountain rides and stuff. So you're like doing these crazy climbs, but then you're going downhill, and you do crazy climbs, but then coming downhill is fun.
Yeah, I know that's the one thing here. Like, I would love to do more stuff like that, and there's not many paths.
Right.
Like fun paths, but yeah, after doing so much like traditional gym cardio, I like refuse now. So last night I made Josh walk like an hour-long route to the gym that should have taken normally would take like 20 minutes, but I was like, we're going to take the long way. But it's nice. That's one of the things, like in BC, there's just so much better scenery and stuff for that.
Yeah.
We're pretty limited here.
I always call it's a very sadistic way of looking at it, but I always call this city like a very attractive but abusive girlfriend.
Because of the weather and stuff?
It's just,
The thing?
well, the weather, the expense, the people. People are nice, but it's not as friendly. But then you get some days where it's super beautiful, and you're just like, oh, I can't stay mad at you.
It makes up for it.
Yeah.
It keeps pulling you back in.
It does.
I know we've been talking like about, because Josh could kind of go anywhere for work, like with what he does, and so could I. And like we're really happy here, but I'm like, oh, what about Toronto, or like what if Vancouver and stuff? But yeah, the cost of living is cray.
Yeah. So whatever, like, you guys own your house probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just imagining what your place looks like if it's out in that area. Here that would probably be, I don't know, almost 2 million.
Oh man, it's crazy. Yeah, we're like 1,200 square feet in a townhouse.
Oh, it's a townhouse, so maybe I'll bump it down to 1.2 then.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's crazy. Like, you're renting there, I guess, because you're over top of the gym.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, it's hard too, because you're like, is it smarter to still invest in something when you're there, or just pay the rent like when you're saving? But yeah, that's the thing too. I think now, like, I used to be much more like anxious to get out of Saskatoon, but now making as much as we make and being able to afford to travel, like now that I'm not in university and stuff, makes it more attractive to stay here because I'm not stuck here.
Yeah. And you could also, I mean, with what you do, you could also be working remotely, like take on clients in other places almost, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like right now, I have clients kind of all over the place as it is. So, I mean, it's beneficial here because the word of mouth is so easy.
Yeah.
And so the bulk of my clients still are like either like from Saskatoon or surrounding area. So I think to move, like I would be able to just kind of pick up and go, but there is something that's nice about the clientele here. Even like doing seminars and stuff, it's a lot easier to sell out and like have a good crowd.
Right. Oh, how'd that one go? Like you had one a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used your photos for the banner. It was really good, actually. I was at the Modern Women show here. It's like a big expo at Prairieland, and there's just a bunch of vendors and shopping and stuff. And so I just had like 30 tickets and talk about like nutrition and this like new theory that I have in terms of nutrition.
What is it?
Okay, well, to like succinctly explain. So I call it NMD3, which is Normal Mental Dysfunctional Diet Diagnosis. So it talks about the difference between having a normal metabolism, and so no metabolic dysfunction with no hormonal or emotional dependency on food. That would be like a normal eater. Emotional eater would have like an emotional or chemical dependence on food, so spanning from pure emotional eating to eating disorders to food addiction.
Okay.
And then beyond that would be the dysfunctional eater, who has like a dysfunctional metabolic rate or metabolism, and then something hormonally off.
Right.
So it's kind of like how you diagnose, because I'm sick of hearing people say that it's as easy as calories in versus calories out, when that's not the case. And I say like all the time, I would not have a job if it was that easy.
Right.
But so for the people that it is that easy, those are the normal eaters, which obviously aren't the bulk of my clients because they don't really need help losing weight.
Right.
The majority of people who need help are the people with either an emotional dependence on food or some sort of hormonal or metabolic dysfunction.
Like a thyroid issue or something like that?
Yeah, like thyroid, even like insulin resistance, stuff like that, like type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome symptoms, even like food sensitivities can cause really big issues. So it's kind of like that's really like an umbrella term, which would take a lot of expanding upon. Like, so my first request is like get blood work. If the blood work doesn't show anything, like do a food sensitivity panel, or do like I would put them on like an elimination diet to try and pinpoint certain things.
Oh, okay.
But that's one of the things, like I think a low carb diet can moderate a lot of those potential issues for you.
Yeah.
So I often recommend, like if nothing's working, I often recommend that for a period to see if it does anything.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
then you're
it's
also
interesting.
cutting out a lot of different foods where, and then eating a lot more like a cleaner, healthier diet. I find anyway, if you limit your carbs, because then now you're not as inclined to go for junk.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, that's why, like, for me, I just say, like, do a paleo, like, low carb approach because it almost automatically limits all the crap, you know? You don't have to be really thinking so much about, like, what you're going to eat for every meal because it's limited and all the options you have are limited to good options.
Right.
In my mind.
But then you have to make it interesting at some point.
Oh, yeah, but that's the thing for me. I say this all the time. Like, for me, keto's easy and I really enjoy it because I eat, like, all different types of meats, you know, like all different types of veg. I'm always mixing things up. And I think a lot of it is, like, you're limited only by your own mind when it comes to diets like that. So if you're really bored with it, I think it's just thinking outside of the box because there's so much you could do with just, like, cooking methods and spices and condiments and...
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never feel bored. It's just if you're lazier about it and, like, grabbing convenience, then it's a lot more limited, I find.
Yeah. I find it's like, same with the whole routine thing. I'll find something I like, and then I'll eat that consistently for, like, weeks, and then I'm like, oh, this is boring, and then I have to find something else new. Like, the new thing that I am my big kick right now, which has been for a couple days, is cauliflower rice.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of rice, just, like, putting cauliflower in a blender and, like, cooking that up like, as if it was rice.
Yeah, I love that.
I did go on, like, a kimchi kombucha kick for a bit, but then I ended up destroying my stomach for some reason.
Too much good bacteria.
Apparently that's not the case. I had a discussion with a pro on the matter. I was filming some, I don't know what it was, some web video or something for a company called BioK Plus, and they have this, it's like a drink or something, I don't know what it is, but apparently it has like 100 times the amount of probiotics than kimchi or kombucha or sauerkraut, like anything like that. And so I explained to her what my problem was. Like, I would get these really bad stomach cramps after eating a whole bunch of kimchi. After, because I would eat kimchi like twice a day. And I didn't know where the pains were coming from until I stopped eating the kimchi. So I did some, like, research online on my own, and it was like the bacteria in your stomach is having a fight. So it's like what's actually living there normally versus the, like, bacteria that is coming in from the kimchi, and then the pain comes from them trying to duke it out in your stomach.
Oh, wow.
Is what I read. But then when I told this pro that, she's like, no, that's not a thing. That's not how it works. And I try to get her to explain why or what has been happening. She's like, I've never heard of somebody being in a bunch of pain from eating this stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. She's like, because, like, who is it, Thais or Koreans? I can't remember. They're like, oh, they eat it all the time. They eat like 3 servings of it a day. But I think also from what I read is, like, once you get past that 2 weeks of stomach cramps and torture, it's like good because then your stomach is now adapted to it, and now it's like all that kimchi and the kombucha is taken over. So now that becomes your, like, base gut flora.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, and, like, it's so hard when you're using something that has so many ingredients, like kimchi, or even, like, most kombucha, like, there's some things added. It could be even you're, like, sensitive to a certain ingredient that you were just getting more of than you're used to.
Oh, that's a good call. I never thought about that.
like something like chili, or that you're just like you never had much of before regularly. But I would think probably with like both of those, it probably was something more related to the probiotics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm back on it, but I'm not eating as much. Like, I'll eat a serving like once every 2 days or something with like. So my breakfast is usually like 2 eggs, an avocado, and some kimchi, and some like sautéed hot peppers.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. I'll usually have either like kimchi or sauerkraut once a day, or a kombucha once a day. Just like regulate it.
Yeah. And then I know if I've had too much, because then like midway through the day I'll get a little pain. I was like, oh crap, I had too much.
Well, it's funny too. I think like that's the thing with keto and low carb. Like I'm much more in tune to my body, and I can tell like when I've had something that bothers me, and it's easier to isolate what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you're eating lots of processed stuff, it's like a little bit harder to kind of differentiate.
Yeah. Do you guys go out to eat very much, or?
We do now that I'm not competing, because I just like will order a keto meal really easy, and it's probably like higher calories than I normally would, but like to go out and get, that's one of the things I like about keto is like when I'm eating at a restaurant, like a sit down meal, I feel like it's really easy to find something keto friendly. For the most part, Asian restaurants I find it's harder.
Yeah. Like what? Because I've been having problems finding something that's low carb or zero carb or whatever. Oh yeah, what's the difference between that? What's the difference between zero carb and low carb? Is it the same thing? Like, can you still reach ketosis while having low carbs, like say 50 to 100 grams of carbs a day?
Some people can, but not the majority. Most people need like under 50 to 30 net carbs.
Okay.
So like, but like for me, I never measure veggies. I can almost always get into ketosis, like just eating as many veggies as I want, and then eating like lean or fatty proteins and added fat sources. But so like low carb, some people can get into keto low carb, but most people need like no carb other than added veggies.
Right.
So like for example, we went to, I don't know if you've been here since it opened, but Una in Saskatoon, which is actually a pizza place. And so like some people will do keto and like just eat pizza toppings. I'm not about that, but
right.
So on their like appetizer menu, they had like a broccoli salad. So it's like tons of fat in it with the dressing and stuff, but still keto. And like chicken wings, I'll do chicken wings is a good one that like it's not a health food in terms of what I'd normally eat.
Yeah.
But if I just want to stay in keto, like as long as it's not breaded. So usually like hot wings are a good option. And then we did meatballs actually. It was the other one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so stuff like that. And like usually what I'll do is like I don't normally eat dairy in my day-to-day, but if I'm going out, it's easier to find keto stuff that has cheese and whatnot, and I just won't worry about it.
Right.
So, yeah, pretty flexible. Like taco salad without the taco and stuff like that. Like that's one of the things that's nice about not competing. I don't have to be like so anal about it.
Yeah. But you still have to keep your carbs low in order to stay in ketosis.
Yeah, but for me it's kind of easy because like I just basically don't like most carbs.
Right.
Like I don't like rice, I don't like potatoes, like so I wouldn't want to eat it anyways. So anything that comes with that, I've just like sub it out for extra veggies, or order a burger and like get all the like mayo and egg and cheese and fat on it, but just don't eat the bun.
Yeah.
So I find for me, I personally find it easier versus like trying to avoid fat when you're eating out.
Yeah. That's true. My big vice is pizza, ice cream, and burgers.
That's a tough combination.
Yeah. But the ice cream you can make yourself. You can
make keto ice cream.
Yeah. It's
That's
just making a really thick smoothie and freezing it, putting ice in there and freezing it. It's just easy as that.
Well, and it's annoying too that there's not more like, because I think like desserts are so easy to make keto if people would just sub like the sugar for stevia or something. Because a lot of desserts are like really fat based. And so it would be easy to make a keto version. People just don't. So like ice cream, you could easily make keto because fat is the base of it.
Right.
But there's nothing like available in stores, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yet. New project.
However, I think there is a study done where you can have one cheat day. Like, one cheat day is actually not, it's not bad for you.
Yeah, lots of people, it depends on the client. Like, some people I will give a carb up once a week with, like, just paleo kind of carbs. Some people will have, like, a full cheat meal and get right back into ketosis.
Yeah.
And for most people, like, the longer you're in keto and then start implementing that, the easier it is for you to get back into it.
Oh, okay.
You know, so, like, it's not like you're thrown out of ketosis for 3 days. It's usually, like, in the next day you can get back into it.
And how long does it take to get into it, though, initially, though?
For most people, like, I would say don't expect to be into it before 3 days. People get really impatient, though, because I'm like, when you think about it, you've been eating carbs your whole entire life.
Yeah.
So to ask your body to all of a sudden switch over and try and find fats as a fuel source is not, like, an easy task. So some people, like, up to a week. But for the majority, like, when I put someone on a keto plan, I want them to just, like, switch over as soon as possible so they start feeling the benefits and stick with it.
Yeah.
So I'll usually, like, really do a dramatic approach where I, like, put your protein quite low, put your fat really high, and kind of, like, make sure I know you're going to get into ketosis, and then try and, like, perfect it from there.
Oh, you need a low protein?
You need, like, moderate protein. Yeah, like, for me, when I'm not eating keto, I'd eat, like, 200 grams of protein. And then now I'll eat, like, less than 100.
Is that just the way it works out, or is that on purpose?
Well, it's kind of, like, nice because it does work out that way for me when I only eat a couple times a day. I don't really have to, like, try to keep my protein low. But, like, protein can convert to carbs via gluconeogenesis. So if you have your protein too high, you'll probably kick yourself out of ketosis.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then keto is really muscle sparing, so it's kind of like hard if you're used to like a more bodybuilding type diet mindset. It's hard to tell someone like cut your protein in half because they think they're going to waste away. But when you think about what keto is meant for, like it's developed as basically a survival process for us.
Right. It's just turning your fuel source from carbs to fats.
Yeah, and so it's meant to be muscle sparing.
Interesting. But you're not really going to build anything on it. You're just going to maintain.
I wouldn't say that. I think that it's just like being in a surplus on any diet. You can build new mass.
Oh, okay.
Different people have different opinions on that, though. But like I've been at my strongest in terms of actually powerlifting training like 2 years ago while I was pure keto and in a deficit. And I was deadlifting like 300 pounds for 5 sets of 5.
Holy crap.
Now I'm a week and I can deadlift 1 rep of 300. So I honestly don't know how that happened. But
proper form and all?
Yeah, I was doing. Jeez. Well, I mean, yeah, proper form in terms of like total lockout and doing like a clean rep from the bottom.
Yeah.
But like near the last reps, they look pretty fucking painful when I watch the video.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing like I just had got super strong doing 5x5s, and then I think I kind of like hit my peak strength and it all went downhill from there. But and two, like not proper training in terms of like resting and like taking cycles of like lower volume and lower weight and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, in that time, I was like pure keto, and it didn't affect my strength at all. And I did keto in that time for a month with no carb ups, just as an experiment.
Oh, interesting. Is there a way you can tell that you've hit ketosis?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways. If you've never like been in keto, most people like don't know what it feels like. Once you're used to it, you can kind of tell by feel when you're in ketosis. So like if I go out of keto for a couple days and then go back in, like I can tell kind of like when I start switching over because I start feeling better. So like you're cognitively more clear, your focus is better, your memory is better, you're probably more alert, like not as drowsy. But most people can't tell right away, so they would use urine strips. So they're just called like keto sticks. You just ask for the pharmacist for them, and they don't need a prescription. They're just always like behind the counter or whatever, and they test the pH level in your urine.
Just from the Shoppers or whatever?
Yeah, like Shoppers, Safeway, anywhere has them. And then that's not like super accurate, but for most people, that's what I recommend because it's cheap. Other than that, you would test your blood. And so I use like, it's like a blood glucose monitor, but it also tests ketones. You just use a different strip. Mm-hmm. So in Canada, the monitor is covered by healthcare, so it's free, but the strips for ketones are $3 each, so it's very expensive.
Right.
To test, but that's the most accurate. Technically, you can check through your breath as well, but I haven't been able to find a good breath monitor that's accurate. So most people do urine.
I think I'm going to try that because I don't know if I've actually reached it or not. It's hard for me. It's hard to tell if I did or not at some point.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. And I always try. I say like, don't test first thing in the morning because most people their urine like isn't accurate in the morning because your body releases glucose to wake you up.
Yeah.
So normally like after lunch or like after you've had a meal often is like a good time to tell. But it'll be interesting to see. And then too, the longer you're in keto, if your body gets super efficient, you can stop excreting ketones in your urine as much because they're all being actually used in your bloodstream.
Right. So then when you hit it, you're still peeing out ketones?
You'll probably start peeing out less.
Okay.
Yeah, so some people like get freaked out because they think it's like a bad thing and you're not like burning as much fat if you're not producing as many ketones or like as high of amount, but it doesn't really work like that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're measuring like minimal to medium amounts of ketones doesn't necessarily mean anything negative. It's kind of like as long as you're in ketosis, you're getting the benefit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that's the thing is like even if you're not in ketosis, like just low carb alone has so many benefits that I don't like people to get like too stressed out by tracking all the time.
Yeah.
Some people get like so stressed about it that it's not worth it, you know, it's not even beneficial if you're testing 100 times a day and all freaked out. And because your body can go in and out in the day sometimes depending on different factors.
Okay. And you're doing that with as well as intermittent fasting, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing I find, like, when you're eating a high-fat diet, fasting kind of, like, naturally occurs for a lot of people, just because you're more satiated and you're not waking up in, like, a low insulin state where your body's, like, searching for glucose. Whereas with fat, like, yeah, because you're just more steady. And then often with carbs, you're, like, having to eat more frequently and you're hungrier throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I never try and, like, force a fast. It just kind of, like, happens.
Yeah. I think, like, when I first started doing it, I think it was about the time that I met you. I think that's when I started doing intermittent fasting. When we did that shoot at the gardens there.
Oh, yeah.
Or something.
Oh my God,
and then just, yeah. And then I think once I moved out here, I just kind of, the intermittent fasting became so much a part of my regular day-to-day that I just, you don't think about it no more. And then and you're not like super, you're not stressed about it or nothing. Like, maybe I'll go out for a early brunch one day, and it's like, hasn't been 14 hours. Like, it's been like 10 maybe or whatever. But yeah, and then I think I just kind of stopped just to see what would happen, and like actually eat a breakfast first thing in the morning, and I don't know. I felt like I had more energy at some point.
With eating breakfast?
Yeah, I think at the beginning of it, I had more energy. But now,
Okay.
but then I started feeling more like bloated throughout the day.
Oh, interesting.
So I kind of went. So I'm just like, what was it? The past, I don't know, past 6 months or so. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just not have breakfast, and that's all I would do. And then I heard a podcast with Dr. Rhonda Patrick,
Oh yeah.
and she said that there was these studies done where it's like for the intermittent fasting. The study says that the eating, what is it? The eating window should be 10 hours, and anything like 12 at the maximum. So it's like, if you're, so even with like coffee, as soon as coffee hits you, it's like you're starting to metabolize it. So it's like that's where you start your 10 hours. And from there to whenever it is, 10 hours in the day, then you just stop. And then she said, except for one day of the week where you don't have to abide by it. So then I taken from her science, and then I started putting myself in that mindset where it's like I would look at the clock. I'd be like, okay, well, when am I going to have supper tonight? Okay, I'm like, I'm going to train at say 6 o'clock, and then I'll be done at like 7:30, and then I'll eat at 8:30 at night. So I can't eat anything till like 11. I can't have my coffee or whatever till 11 or so. Does that make sense?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So she's saying that the coffee kicks you out of fasting.
Yeah. She says as soon as you hit it, just because it's like your body is now metabolizing it, like through your liver and all that. Whatever's processing the.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's so many different theories, and I think too, it's like finding what works for you. Like for me, part of it is like I don't want to worry about meal timing and stuff anymore, just because for the last 5 years I've been so structured. So I'm kind of like I'll eat when I'm hungry, I'll stop when I'm full, and it would be different if I was like super set on a goal of like leaning out or something.
Mm-hmm.
This is more just like my lifestyle. And then on the weekends, if I want to go out for brunch, then I don't worry about it. I'm not like, oh, I haven't fasted, I can't go.
Right.
It's just more relaxed. So often on the weekends, I won't fast as long.
Interesting. Do you get into herbs and stuff?
Get into carbs?
Herbs.
Oh, herbs. Like what do you mean, like turmeric and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like as much as I probably should know.
You should try broccoli sprouts.
Okay. Do you follow Max? Frick, what's his last name? Okay, no, I recently have actually been planning on growing some.
Yeah.
Because this guy, what's his last name? Is like a French name, but his first name's Max, and his last name starts with an L. Anyways, yeah, he is like all about keto and stuff, and he has been growing them, and I've been following his Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's easy to just like grow in a. Do you grow them?
Oh. Yeah, I should. What? Yeah, I should look them up.
Max Lugavere, Lugavere. He's like been on Dr. Oz and stuff. Anyways, He's a really smart guy, and he's been growing them in a little jar, and so I've been wanting to get some seeds.
Yeah. I have there's a place in Saskatchewan. I just ordered like a pound of seed because I ran out, and it's called Mom's Organics, and it's starts with an F, Fairview, Saskatchewan. That's where they're sending. That's where they're sending it from.
Oh, sweet! That's good to know.
And it was like it's like $40 or something for a pound, and a pound will last a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say a pound of those little seeds probably goes a long way.
Yeah.
I forget what he said. The one like chemical is or whatever in
sulforaphane, I think it is.
Oh yeah, it's really good for fat loss.
I never heard that. I heard like it's well maybe I did hear it, but just tuned it out. But it's like the active ingredient in active chemical in broccoli, but when it's in sprout form, it's like 50 times more potent, but only when you chop it up is that chemical present, because it's like a combination of two different chemicals in it, and so you chop it up in your the sprouts in your smoothie and whatever. But it's like it's good for anti-cancer stuff. Antibiotic. It's anti-inflammatory.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm convinced now. Yeah, that's so funny. I was just thinking about that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to do more, like, taking advantage of, like, herbs and spices that are beneficial for you, to be honest.
Have you read anything into mustard?
Well, I know turmeric, like, the main ingredient for sure, or one of them, I guess, mustard seed, obviously, but, like, mustard seed itself, or?
Yeah, mustard seed itself.
Oh, I haven't looked so much into that, no.
Yeah, I haven't either. It's just been, because you have your Max guy, I follow Rhonda Patrick, and she's like, she always is eating kale and all that, and on her kale she always puts mustard seeds.
Oh, okay, I'm following her on Instagram right now. I've heard of her, for sure.
She'll like slap you in the face with so much science that it's like it's hard. You have to like reread stuff and then write stuff down. But she's got tons. Well,
you like fall down the rabbit hole. I feel like once you start reading these things, you're like, oh, I need to implement this and grow broccoli sprouts and.
Well, it's like my shakes are like growing into this weird science thing, like my daily shake. So like after the gym, before I just called you, I had whey protein, creatine, almond milk, kale, 3 garlic cloves, ginger, raw ginger, a hot pepper, black pepper, broccoli sprouts. But the sprouts that I have right now is a mixture. It's got like mushroom in it and arugula, so there's like all these different sprouts in it.
Oh.
And I put a dash of olive oil in it for some reason. I was just like, omega 3s. Okay, just gonna throw a bit of that in there.
Healthy fats.
And then what else? Oh, and I put some raw cacao in it, just for flavor, and some blueberry powder. All that stuff has the carbs in it, so I just kind of use it sparingly, just for a little bit of flavor.
Yeah. So what's the taste? Does it taste like garlic and pepper?
Or does I don't really taste the like garlic anymore.
The cacao like masks it.
Yeah, and the hot pepper.
I do avocado and add avocado for the fats, and then it makes it like really creamy.
Yeah, I love doing that, but I sometimes I tend to think that I'm overdoing avocado. Like if I have one for breakfast, I'm like, oh, I want another one, but I already had one for breakfast.
Yeah, I try and I actually am not like a huge avocado person. I'll either do it in shakes or as a guac. I don't like it on its own.
Oh yeah.
So it's not. But I have lots of clients who want to eat like 800 avocados a day.
Yeah. There's that vegan guy from Saskatoon that's kind of a big deal. The raw vegan guy. Do you know that guy?
What's his Instagram though? I follow him.
It's got like a banana on it or something.
But he's not living here now, right? Like he lives somewhere exotic.
Yeah, he's like in Costa Rica.
Oh shoot, what is his name? Yeah, because I followed him for a long time because they always would make this like raw vegan pizza crust.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, I've looked into him a lot.
I found him because it was, I think someone had posted it, and it was someone from Saskatoon, and it was just like, you've been eating avocados wrong, and it just shows him, like, picking one from a tree in Costa Rica, and he kind of just peels the top part of it, and so it's like, he's still got the skin on the bottom, but he's holding it, I don't know, just from the bottom. and he just eats it like it's out of a cup or something. Like he eats it just straight up.
Oh wow.
But it's
Vegan
kind
apple.
of creepy because he gets a bit sensual with it. It's like, and it's just a minute of him eating an avocado and like groaning.
You like don't make eye contact.
It's like, oh, this is weird.
That's funny. Yeah, I've looked at his website and stuff before for recipes.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about going vegan?
I have thought about it, but I don't think I would ever go like full vegan. I would maybe go like towards more plant-based, but I think like knowing what I know about keto, it's hard because like if I could do keto in an ideal way where like all my meat is grass-fed and everything's very natural, then I think that's beneficial.
Yeah.
And even like vegan, that's the thing. Like even the vegan, I would never eat like processed like soy or anything, so it would be very like basic. But I think it's hard to do keto in a vegan way, so I probably wouldn't.
Are you? I don't think you're allowed to have eggs either. No, because
Well,
it's not,
no, like
vegan's nothing from an animal.
yeah, pescatarians like would have fish and eggs, but not anything else. But pure vegan, like that's you wouldn't even have like gelatin and stuff if you're actually vegan.
Yeah.
So it's very limiting. I think that's very challenging to live that way, like in our society, because lots of things even could be like cooked with trace amounts of like whatever.
Yeah.
But I think if you could do like vegan keto, but I think like keto is so beneficial that I probably would always stick with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And meat is delicious.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I actually like I eat way less protein now than I used to. Like I only eat animal protein once or twice a day. It's cheaper, like it's just has so, and then all the health benefits, like
Mm-hmm.
and my digestion's way better. I actually when I used to eat fruit, I would feel really sick.
Oh, interesting.
But that was after a long time of dieting too. So like who knows? Probably everything would have bothered me, but.
So, with the way you're doing things now, how long have you been doing it? It's like a year, right? Since you.
Probably like since. Well, I played around with a few different things after Worlds. So like I was eating more of a paleo based where I was doing fruit and stuff probably till like December. And then we went to France, so I wasn't like super strict with anything until we got home in like January. And then I knew like that I'd go back to keto and probably stay keto for the rest of my life because like for the last 4 or 5 years I'd done it on and off and then always gone back to carbs for contest prep just because it gives me like a fuller look on stage.
Oh, interesting.
Like just fills out the muscle bellies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like would prefer to have eaten this way probably always.
Do you know of anybody doing it that's pro?
There are some people, I don't know like specific names. I hear lots of people talk about it, but it's interesting because they won't like, some of them wouldn't be keto like in the sense of how I would do it where like your fat is high enough and stuff. But lots of people just talk shit about it in terms of bodybuilding. Just saying that it's like not beneficial for bodybuilding specifically, but and I get that, like just in terms of the muscular look, but I know like lots of endurance athletes use it in terms of performance.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, with bodybuilding, like just because the carbs fill out the muscle and then pull water into the muscle and stuff, it's definitely a flatter look if you don't have carbs. So some people will do keto like as a cutting method and then carb up before stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know that many people who would like do it in the off season even.
Neat. It's been like in almost 2 hours.
I know. I was saying I should probably go do some emails or
yeah.
But
is there anything else? That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good chat. It's nice to catch up.
Yeah, for sure.
Some new photos soon.
Yeah.
Time you're in town, do you visit Saskatoon now, or you're just kind of hang out in van?
Depends on if there's projects in Saskatchewan, which tend to pop up in the summer. So we'll see what happens this summer.
Well, yeah, it's nice to come back and visit. Hey, have a good reason to come back to Saskatoon.
Yeah. That's wicked. Okay.
Right. Okay, well, thanks for the chat. I'm happy to be on your soon-to-be-famous recorded conversations.
We'll do it again. It'll be fun.
Okay, sounds good. Well, take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye, Mike.
Bye. So if you made it all the way through this thing, go follow Kalli on Twitter. No. Follow her on Instagram or Twitter if you can find her on Twitter. Instagram is at IFBB PROKYFIT. She does stories, Instagram stories, a lot of them, but a lot of them have a very good information in it. Yeah, so if you made it all the way through this, please give me some advice on how to record Skype. I didn't really want to do Skype stuff in the exception of this idea of recording conversations, because I just wanted it to be less formal and just people, just when I'm hanging out with people in person, and then just drop the phone down or whatever, recorder, and just record that moment and put it up. So I am learning how to record things, and it's not always going to work out. So if you made it to this far, please hit me up with some advice on Skype recordings and why there was so many audio dropouts and fluctuations or something. I think it's like because the microphone in the iMac is auto. Of course it's auto. I think it just got confused and it went out of whack. I don't know. That's it.